Hello guys, I hope wherever you're watching us from you are having a great time. This is AfriPost and welcome to today's video. One of the major challenges affecting most third world countries is the need to create enough job opportunities for the youthful population that continue to grow in these countries. We understand that the number of young people within these countries is ballooning at a very fast rate, yet there is no adequate job opportunities that can be used to absorb this youthful population. One of the things that most of these countries has depended on is their natural resources. For example, the oil resource that has helped countries in the Middle East to improve their economies. Now, in today's video, I want us to focus on one country in South America, and that is Guyana. Guyana is a country that is considered to be among the smallest countries in that region, and it is also the only English-speaking country in South America. I want us to listen to this viral and explosive video where Guyana's president dismissed a British journalist when he asked him some questions that he considered derogatory. Let's watch this and then react to it at the end.
Let's take a big picture look at what's going on here. Over the next decade, 2 decades, it is expected that there will be $150 billion worth of oil and gas extracted off your coast. It's an extraordinary figure, but think of it in practical terms. That means, according to many experts, more than 2 billion tons of carbon emissions will come from your seabed, from those reserves, and be released into the atmosphere. I don't know if you as a head of state went to the COP in Dubai.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Do you know that Guyana has a forest forever that is the size of England and Scotland combined? A forest that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon, a forest that we have kept alive, a forest that we have kept alive.
Does that give you the right? Does that give you the right to release all of this carbon?
Does that give you the right to lecture us on climate change? I am going to lecture you on climate change because we have kept this forest alive that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon that you enjoy, that the world enjoy, that you don't pay us for, that you don't value, that you don't see a value in, that the people of Guyana has kept alive. Guess what? We have the lowest deforestation rate in the world. And guess what? Even with our greatest exploration of the oil and gas resource we have now, we will still be net zero. Guyana will still be net zero. With all our exploration, we'll still be net zero.
Powerful words, Mr. President. But
I'm not completed as yet. I am not finished as yet. I am just not finished as yet. Because this is the hypocrisy that exists in the world. The world in the last 50 years has lost 65% of all its biodiversity. We have kept our biodiversity. Are you valuing it? Are you ready to pay for it? When is the developed world going to pay for it? Or are you in the pockets? Are you in the pockets of those who have damaged the environment? Are you in the pockets, are you and your system in the pockets of those who destroyed the environment through the Industrial Revolution and now lecturing us? Are you in their pockets? Are you paid by them? Are you paid to keep their message alive? There is no hypocrisy in our position.
The Center for International Environmental Law has described the oil and gas production in Guyana as turning your country from, as you rightly put it, a carbon sink into a potential, quote, carbon bomb. Now, you may say you have every right to exploit that oil and gas.
That is ridiculous. We, even with exploring and production of all our resources, we are going to still be carbon neutral. We are still going to be carbon neutral.
Let me quote to you Greenpeace, who say quite simply, to avoid the worst impacts of climate change, and you know that your own country is one of the most vulnerable to climate change because most of your population lives below sea level.
And we have paid, guess what? Guess what? We have paid for the mitigation. We have paid for the adaptation. We are the ones who have to find revenue. No.
I want to continue. I haven't finished telling you what Greenpeace say.
Yes, but let me tell you.
Greenpeace say we need to keep the majority of the world's remaining fossil fuels in the ground.
Yeah, Greenpeace can say that.
You're not doing that.
Greenpeace and you can say that. But we need to get resources. And the developing world, we need to get resources to build the sea defenses. We need to get sea defenses to build a drainage and irrigation system. You just said that we're 6 feet below sea level. Who is going to pay for the infrastructure? Who is going to pay for the drainage and irrigation? Who is going to pay for the development and advancement of our country? Are you going to pay? It's not coming from anywhere. It's not coming from Greenpeace or anyone else. Look at the adaptation budget that is required for the developing world. Where is the money coming from?
Isn't there a cynicism here in Georgetown, best expressed by your vice president, who said recently, because there is this climate change imperative to decarbonize, our policy is to get as much oil out of the ground as quickly as possible. Now, he said, that's harsh for those who think that you should be environmentally sound, but that is the reality of it. Those were very honest words from your vice president.
And that is what we are, honest. We are practical.
So you're rushing to get this oil out before any deal is done, to quote Dubai COP, to transition away from oil and gas.
You can say we are rushing, but we are very practical. We have this natural resource, and we are going to aggressively pursue this natural resource because we have to develop our country. We are committed to the development of this region. We have to create the opportunity for our people because no one is bringing that for us. No one is bringing that for us. No one is paying our agenda. No one is paying our agenda.
A final thought about what this means inside your own country. Earlier on, I referred to the fact that 40% of the Guyanese population currently still lives in poverty. And according to USAID, from a recent report, Guyana's political instability, which we also referred to, raises concerns that the country is unprepared for its newfound wealth. The tremendous influx of money opens many avenues for corruption. How do you, as president, ensure that that doesn't happen?
So when we came into government, we said that there are a number of things that we must do. First of all, there must be an arm's length relationship with the oil revenue. So first, the Minister of Finance has to declare all the revenue that comes into the system. If he does not declare that, within 30 days, there's a 10-year mandatory jail term for the Minister of Finance. Secondly, any revenue that is spent from oil and gas must pass through the budgetary process. So it has to go through the Parliament. It has to be debated in the Parliament. It then comes into the system. It is then audited by the Auditor General at the end of what it was intended for. And then, of course, the investment decision is made by a committee that is arm's length away, an independent committee that is arm's length away from the government.
Yeah. Just a final thought on the politics. You described the tensions around the 2020 election. It was hotly disputed. I think it's fair to say that there's a clear sort of ethnic element to the politics of Guyana. Your party is predominantly Indo-Guyanese. No, the opposition...
We're the only national party.
Well, that's what you say. But nonetheless...
When you go on the ground, and I invite you to our Congress, you will see the representation of party.
I refer to the opposition leader, Aubrey Norton, from the opposition National Congress.
So now you're saying that in the words of the opposition leader.
No, I want to pursue the words he recently said, where he said that given everything that your government is doing with the oil money, to quote him, a one-party state is emerging in Guyana. There are fears that the money you have access to is entrenching your political supremacy.
Well, first of all, let me address an issue. You have to give me a few moments. The ethnic division of this country was instigated by external forces. You are aware of this. It was instigated by external forces. We have to accept that. This is part of your legacy. Part of your legacy is this, that you divided the people. We have been working aggressively on bringing back the people together. My agenda is a one Guyana agenda, and I want to see all of Guyana prosper, and prosperity comes to every single home.
We're sitting here together, the two of us, in a luxury hotel in Georgetown, and outside this door there is a fancy conference expo in which many corporate leaders from big oil around the world are sniffing around the opportunities in your country. And at the very same time, we have a report from Global Witness, the anti-corruption people, saying that if a deal had been done with the more usual royalty and cost agreements like we've seen in other parts of the world, then Guyana would stand to gain another $50 billion from your oil and gas reserves. Money you are not going to get. How can you tell the people of your own country, many of them living in poverty, that this deal that you are currently operating under to get the oil and gas out of the ground is a good deal for them?
Did I say it's a good deal? I said that the deal was heavily skewed to Exxon. We have said this publicly. You're not getting it. We have said that the deal was heavily skewed to Exxon. but we cannot unilaterally change the agreement that the last government signed. That
Why
will
not?
no. That will send a it's like you asking me. It's like I asking you. You agree that slavery was bad and the greatest indignity to humankind. Why not pay reparation? Why not value reparation and pay reparation today? The tens of billions of dollars that
But Mr. President, you don't allow slavery to continue just because there were certain contracts that were signed. You, as a politician, have made a great noise about demanding, for example, reparations for slavery from the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And yet here we are in a new era for an independent Guyana, where you're saying to me, you know what, it's true, we are being exploited. The extractive industries are exploiting our people. And you just sit here and you take it.
No, you are placing words that I've not said. I have not said that we're being exploited. I have said that a contract signed by the last government, the contract that was signed by the last government was heavily skewed to the investor. And we have said that. And I've said to you that as a new government, we cannot unilaterally change that contract.
It's not just, if I may say so, it's not just about the finances, the royalties, the expenses that Exxon demands. It's also about things like insurance. There's an extraordinary case last year in the Guyanan courts where the court decided that your own Environmental Protection Agency and Exxon had failed to provide the necessary guarantees that any oil spill would, in the end, be fully paid for in terms of cleanup by Exxon's parent company.
We have said, and what we are doing, what are we doing to address these issues? Right now, we are drafting, redrafting environmental laws to take care of this. Soon we'll have
You haven't taken care of it, even though the drilling is taking place every single day. If there was a massive oil spill tomorrow, can you tell your own people that Guyana, and indeed the rest of the Caribbean, would be fully recompensed by Exxon?
What I can say is that there are systems in place in the operations of Manuel, operations of Exxon to take care of this. There are systems in place.
Now, from that clip, I think we can really understand where the journalist is coming from. Most of these Western people, they have been brought up to really think low of our countries, especially those in Africa and South America. We've seen the kind of suffering that some of these countries in Africa and even in South America went through, especially in the hands of the British. And I like the fact that President Ifraan Ali says that British was responsible for, first of all, the question of ethnic division in Guyana. One thing that also is really baffling me in that video is the fact that the journalist thinks that when Guyana finds oil and this oil is explored and used for the development of the country, then the kind of emissions that will be released will be detrimental to climate change and to the environment. And I think this is being very hypocritical, because look at the development in Western nations. What were they fueled by? They used fossil fuels for their development, and therefore they cannot come back and tell us that we cannot now continue to industrialize and use our fuels and our oils just because we are going to have a lot of emissions to the environment. I also like the fact that Guyana's president pointed out that the country has the largest forest land that is bigger than UK. So this is a very, very important admission. It really puts to question what white people, or even what these British and Western nations think of us. I also at some point tend to think that the question of climate change has been used, and it is being used politically. It is not openly just because of the challenges that the climate change issues has brought, but there is also a way through which it is being used to keep development in countries that are considered underdeveloped. Because right now, the question of climate change is being preached in Africa, and African countries are not required to use fossil fuels in their development. One would ask, how long will it take a country to industrialize using solar power? If this energy was easy to be harnessed, why can the West use it in their development? Right now, they are coming to Africa, they are going to South America and telling them that you should not use fossil fuels because you are going to pollute the environment. This really should not be the case for us. I guess, and I think it is very important for Africa and also other countries, especially countries like Guyana that holds close to 30% of black people. They are supposed to be left to develop. And Western nations should not come preaching to us about what we should do in our countries or what we should do with our resources that we have. What do you really think about the topic? Because for me, I really side with the Guyana's president, and I think he's really done a good job shutting down this rude journalist. Tell me in the comment section what you think. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.